Welcome to the Mama Stay Fit YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you what I did for my very first prenatal workout during my pregnancy. Right now, I'm about 5 weeks pregnant, so it's really early in my pregnancy, but I'm feeling still relatively good in the first trimester. Historically, I have not felt very great during my first trimester, so I maybe got like another week or two before my workouts start to fizzle out. So let's take a look and see what my first workout looks like. So in the Mama Stay Fit Prenatal Fitness Program, our programming starts at week 5 of pregnancy and goes all the way to week 41. And so for the very first workout, I have some squats, some step ups. So we like to pair a strength movement with some sort of stabilization exercise. And so I'll have my main movement being the squat. And then the accessory work is going to be the step ups. And then I'm going to move on to some deadlifts, some single leg deadlifts for that stabilization exercise as well for the hamstrings, with hip airplanes to do a little bit of hip mobility. And then I'm going to finish up with some pelvic stability work and core work with the reverse lunge, pull down and knee press and lateral band walk. Because I'm still feeling really good in my first trimester, I'm going to do the full workout, but as the weeks kind of progress, I may do only 2 rounds or 1 round of the workout, or I may even switch to the mini program until I start to feel a little bit better. Right now, my main symptom that I have is I have that metallic taste in my mouth, so hopefully I could drink some lemon water to help resolve that, and we'll see what nausea is going to be like in this first trimester. For my girl pregnancies, very nauseous, could not function. For my boy pregnancy, it was pretty low-key. I was able to move pretty well, so, we'll see whether or not this is going to be a girl or boy pregnancy, so let's get started. So all of our workouts are going to start with a warm-up exercise, which is going to be helping to bring some mobility and also to help reconnect with my breath and with my pelvic floor. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to be a standing breathing drill. So I'm going to hold onto the pole, and I'm going to sit back, and I'm trying to find this big round in my back. So I'm not just sitting back into a squat. I'm trying to round in my back, and I'm feeling my arms straighten here. I'm going to tuck my chin, and then I'm take a big inhale to feel my back expand. And then when I exhale, I'm going to try to bring my ribs and pelvis close together on the front. And this is going to help me move deeper into this movement. And then I'm just going to be here for 10 breaths. Each exhale, I'm trying to get more rounded. And every inhale, I'm trying to breathe deeper into my back. The next warm-up movement that I'm going to do is going to be focusing on releasing some tension in my pelvic floor, and then also helping to find a little bit more internal rotation and beginning to coordinate my breath to my movement. So I'm going to do a standing breathing drill with a hip shift. So I've got my little yoga block here. I'm going to place one foot on that yoga block, and the opposite hand is going to reach to grab onto my sturdy structure. I'm obviously using a squat rack here. I'm going to hinge my hips back. I'm going to feel this stretch in this leg. And then I'm going to rotate to bring belly to thigh. So my opposite hip is moving towards my opposite knee. I'm going to shift back into it so I have all this tension in my upper body. And then I'm going to push my chest or belly away from the floor, find a little bit of rounding, keep weight in that big toe, almost like I'm trying to rotate my leg inward. And I'm going to feel this big stretch in this back pocket here. And then I'm going to take 10 breaths here. Each one I'm going to feel this space of my butt and back expand. And then exhale, I can move a little bit deeper into it. During pregnancy, we tend to have some postural tendencies. So we tend to be very extended in our spine, and we tend to favor a lot of external rotation. So really arched back and toes more pointed outwards. And because of that, it's not a problem, but we can sometimes get stuck in these positions. And so a lot of our programming is focusing on helping you find the opposite, because we need to also be able to find a rounded position and that internally rotated position to help open different levels of the pelvis. And so if I'm always stuck in this position, it's going to be really hard for my baby to enter into my pelvis. And then if I can't find internal rotation, it's going to be really hard for my baby to exit my pelvis. And so we incorporate a lot of work that emphasizes finding that posterior pelvic tilt or rounded back position and internal rotation to help you create more space in your pelvis and make it easier for your baby to move through your pelvis. So this is not just a bunch of pregnancy-safe exercises. They're movements that we've developed based on our understanding of pelvic mechanics and what we've seen to really work well for our clients. So that's pretty much all I do for my warm-up, and all we do in our warm-ups here at Mama Stay Fit for Pregnancy. because my workouts are not going to be super intense during pregnancy. They're still going to be challenging, but I'm not lifting so much weight and that I need like this really long warm up. During the first trimester, I'm doing everywhere from like 70 to 90% effort level with my lifts and exercises, maybe a little bit less, because even right now I'm getting like really winded and like out of breath just from talking. And so I might have a little bit more rest, but I'm not lifting so heavy that I need like a super in-depth warm up for my workout. So let's go ahead and get into today's workout. The final movement of the first circuit that I have, and this is my third round, so I'm feeling pretty tired, just very winded, is going to be hip shifted and all with a yoga block using a mini band. The mini band is going to help to turn on the glute a little bit more to help you move deeper into this movement. So what this movement is doing, it is helping you shift into a hip, which is going to help you release the posterior pelvic floor, that elevated hip, help you find more internal rotation on that elevated hip to really help with that pelvic balance. And internal rotation, again, is really important to help create space in the bottom half of the pelvis. And so we like to incorporate a lot of internal rotated focus exercises throughout our programming. So I have one knee on a yoga block. I'm gonna hover in my lower knee. So it's still lower than the yoga block, but there's like a little bit of gap here, and I have the mini band around my thighs. So first I'm gonna shift my weight to this elevated hip. And so if you look at it from behind, you can see that this is like fairly straight up and down, and then it angles downward here with my hips. So with this slightly hovered, I'm gonna push the band out, keeping that knee low, and this is gonna move me deeper into this hip because it's turning on this leg's glute. So now I'm gonna arch in my back, find a little bit more of that anterior tilt, and then round in my back to find more of that posterior tilt. Posterior pelvic tilt is easier with internal rotation, so you should feel like it's easier to move into this movement and you can move deeper into it. And then drop the belly down, round, and I'm just gonna do 10 pelvic tilts, focusing on maintaining the tension in this band. So every time I round in my back, I'm almost gonna think like push that band out a little bit more. And then we can switch to the other side. So I'm gonna bring it under the opposite knee. The left leg for me and for most of us is going to be the more difficult side. This posterior pelvic floor tends to be a lot tighter, and it tends to be harder to find that internal rotation on the left side. So slightly hovering in the right knee, pressing that band out, and then finding my pelvic tilts, keeping weight in this leg and keeping this knee lower than the elevated block. So every time I round, I'm really thinking like push this knee out, and it's going to help me move deeper into this hip to really release it, find more mobility, which is going to be super beneficial as I'm moving through pregnancy, because things like pelvic positioning and hip mobility can influence like pelvic girdle pain or prevent pelvic girdle pain. It can also really influence how well you can move through our pregnancy. And then obviously the preparation for birth is going to help you able to open your pelvis more easily for your baby. So that was my first circuit. I'm definitely very out of breath. First trimester is really catching up to me pretty fast. So now it's time to move on to deadlifts, single leg deadlifts, and then my hip airplanes for the hip mobility exercise with that circuit. And again, I like to do one strength movement, a stabilization exercise to work on the balance to get more strength and endurance focus. This also helps me keep my weights a little bit lighter while still being very challenged. And then I have my hip mobility exercise to really focus on being able to find a lot of different hip positions, because it's, again, really important for pelvic comfort, our ability to move through our pregnancy, and then for that preparation for birth. So let's get into the middle portion of my workout. I got my husband here. He's gonna move my bar for me. That's the main reason why he gets to work out in this gym. So we'll go ahead and get set up. So in my first trimester, I'm still doing a little bit of breath holding strategy when I lift. So I'm not like doing full-blown Valsalva maneuver where I'm generating like tons of intra-abdominal pressure, but I am using my breath to help me stabilize my spine a little bit more. And I generally can do kind of a breath holding strategy throughout most of my pregnancy up until about the end of third trimester when it just doesn't feel as good. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be inhaling at the top to increase pressure with my abdominal cavity to stabilize my spine. We're at the bottom for this. I'm going to stand up, and then near the top, I'm going to exhale. And then I'll take another breath as I lower the bar down, come up, and then near the top, I'll exhale. Over time, I'm going to exhale a lot sooner in the lift to kind of counter that increase in pressure. But at this point, it's going to be a lot of breath holding. So I just want you to see what that looks like. So I'll be here at the bottom. I'm going to take my big inhale, and then I'll stand up. So near the top, I'll kind of exhale. So this is the same type of breath holding strategy that I'm using for most of my main lifts. So it's what I do with my squats, what I'm going to do with the deadlifts, and then as my pregnancy progresses, I will use a little bit less of it. But inhales is how we stabilize our spine. So I want to take a big inhale to increase pressure here to stabilize my spine, but I want it to match the demand. So I'm not lifting super heavy for me, and so I don't need like the maximum amount of pressure possible. So I finished up the 2 strength circuits. I'm very winded, a little tired. The first trimester has definitely caught up to me. And now it's time to finish up with our pelvic stability accessory work. So pelvic pain is not a requirement in pregnancy. It's something that I have dealt with momentarily through all my pregnancies. And so I'm definitely really looking to incorporate a lot of exercises now in the first trimester, and I've been incorporating a lot pre-pregnancy to try to combat and to alleviate some of that pelvic pain. So the 2 main causes of pelvic pain, one is going to be your pelvic position, which is how well can your pelvis move around. And the second is going to be the coordination of the muscles supporting the pelvic girdle. And that's where this exercise is going to be really beneficial. So this is a reverse lunge pull down. With the reverse lunge pull down, I'm going to step back. So I'm feeling this big stretch in this glute, stretch in this arm. And then I'm going to exhale to come up to contract in this glute, contract in this lat as I pull the band down. So I have this kind of cross body activation happening. And what's happening with that is it's helping to stabilize my SI joint. And so this is activating the posterior oblique sling. The posterior oblique sling really helps to stabilize the low back, the SI joint. So if you're having any sort of sciatic pain, low back pain, SI joint pain, movements like this can be really helpful. Now, obviously, if you're having pelvic pain and single leg movements are problematic, doing this reverse lunge variation may not be great for you. We might want to do more of a split squat variation where the legs are staying stationary, they're not moving, or even doing a squat variation. So I'm stepping back, my lat and glute are contracting together. They're lengthening, shortening, lengthening, shortening. So this is helping to stabilize my SI joints, which for me is where I have more issues during pregnancy. So I want to make sure I'm doing exercises to help with my pelvic position and also with the muscular coordination across my SI joint. The next movement that I'm going to do is going to be the lateral band walk. So I'm going to take this guy, put it around my thighs. You could put it around your ankles, which would be a little bit harder. And I'm just going to take steps from side to side. So this is helping to work on my lateral sling, which helps to stabilize single leg movements as well, particularly when I'm just standing on one leg. And so this is working on that glute med or that outer glute. And when I stand on that one foot, so I'm hovering here, this is my work leg, and I'm going to drive that foot to spread my feet apart. Balancing on that one leg is helping to really turn on that lateral sling, which helps with that single leg stability. So again, pelvic position and also how the muscles are supporting the pelvic girdle are really important to managing pelvic pain. And so our programming is going to incorporate a lot of pelvic stability exercises to keep your core strong, to keep you pain-free throughout your pregnancy. Because again, pain is not a requirement of pregnancy, and there's a lot that we can do to help overcome it. And so we weave it through all of our programming, especially our prenatal fitness programming. That's a big reason is one, I dealt with it during my own pregnancy, realized I didn't have to, and I'm really passionate about making sure that you don't have to either. And again, in my first trimester, I'm very winded, just doing these very simple seeming exercises. For the accessory work, I'm only doing 2 rounds because, one, I'm tired. My body's doing a lot right now to start growing its own placenta. I'm a little person, so it's okay that I may be not feeling super energetic, not lifting as heavy as I did pre-pregnancy, and that's okay. The body's doing a whole lot of stuff right now. My blood volume is doubling. All my muscles and ligaments and stuff are loosening. So it's understandable that I'm a little fatigued, out of breath, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm not going to be too nauseous, but we'll see. And I can't count, so maybe that was 10, maybe it was 8. Who knows? It's fine though. All of our bands from Crossover Symmetry, love them. You can use code MAMASTAYFIT to get 20% off. They sponsor our podcast. We outfit our gym with them, so we have all these bands for them. So this is Crossover Symmetry. This one is, I love these mini bands because they're so thick, so they don't roll around or catch leg hair and stuff. Not that I have a lot of leg hair, but if you do, the band is really nice for that. I find the plastic ones sometimes roll or it can hurt. So these ones are really nice. And then the shoulder straps, you can put around a door frame, you can mount to a wall, or they have squat rack attachments as well. So pretty versatile. I love traveling with them. To have them, they're a big staple, or the bands are a big staple in our programming because it provides a lot of resistance, which is what we need during pregnancy, during all other phases of our life. So that was my first prenatal workout. I'm very, very out of breath and very winded. It didn't seem like much, or maybe it did. I don't know. I don't know what your workouts look like pre-pregnancy. Mine look similar, a little heavier weight, a little bit more weight. But I'm feeling good. I'm hopeful that I don't stay too nauseous during this first trimester. For me, it's not the fatigue that really gets me. It's more the nausea that makes it really hard for me to work out. So we'll see. Maybe I'm having a boy and I won't have to deal with any nausea. Maybe I'm having a girl and I will, or maybe it's a boy and I still will. Who knows? But stay tuned. I'll keep you updated on how my pregnancy is going, how my workouts are looking. We'll be updating it down a ton on Instagram, on our podcast. So if you want to hear more about details of like how my ultrasounds are going, how my appointments are going, my birth plan, definitely make sure you subscribe to our channel so you get notified whenever we release new videos. If you want to work out with me during my pregnancy, let's say you're pregnant at the same time as me, I'm due the end of August. During our prenatal fitness programs, we offer our programs either by the app and Team Builder, where it's a list of exercises with demo videos, and you can do workouts just like me, lifting barbells and lifting weights. We also have our on-demand videos where it's a full-length workout video where you work out at the same time as us. That one's going to be primarily like dumbbells and bands. And then we have our prenatal yoga program. So if you do want to just watch yoga videos and you want to do more of the mindfulness of preparation for birth, that's a great option as well. You can also do all of it too. And then we do have our pelvic floor prep for birth course, which we're going to be incorporating more on-demand videos or like mini pelvic floor preparation workouts as well. So you can check out all of that on our website at mamasayfit.com/fitness-programs. And you can use code YouTube10 to get 10% off any of our fitness programs, online childbirth education courses, and you can bundle all of that for 15% off as well. So thanks for watching my very first prenatal workout. Hopefully it wasn't too painful to watch. And stay tuned.